Jimmie Johnson, Scott McLaughlin and Romain Grosjean, they were the rookies in IndyCar last year. Arguably the most experienced rookie lineup ever. They probably were the most experienced lineup ever. They now go into their sophomore year, and the big difference this year is all three of them will be riding full time. So we're going to be discussing today who will have the best sophomore season. But, Stephen, I suppose first we have to look back at 2021, and individually you had Jimmie Johnson in arguably the best team last year in Chip Ganassi, Scott McLaughlin in historically the best team in Team Penske, and Romain Grosjean in Dale Coyne, an experienced seasoned team, but not one that has the resources to keep with the top boys. How did you think their seasons were last year?
Well, obviously, two of them got podiums in Romain Grosjean, obviously that fantastic podium at the Indy road course, first time round.
And pole position.
And pole position, of course. Then obviously finished the season flying, taking his first oval race at Gateway, where he was just sending it. And then Laguna Seca, where he was just sending it. Looks really exciting. Looks like he's settled down nicely. Bagging that first pole position, bagging the podium. 2022, maybe bagging that first win. Yeah.
I think that's a fair one with Roman. I think he was... I think we even got a little bit of stick from F1 community who watched our video of the Who is Romain Grosjean, who knew him from his F1 days and were like, he was this brash. I think you've kind of gone maybe over the top of him. But there was this underlying of Grosjean that there was a driver there that had kind of fallen asleep in his time at Haas during Formula One, and IndyCar well and truly awoke that talented driver, because he had a hell of a standout junior career, and with F1 you can almost lose your way, I think, in it, and this was just breathed new life into him as a racer. And I think Marshall said on the podcast that he just kind of had that kind of little glimmer in his eye. That was one of his standout moments, seeing that kind of return to him. And yeah, he really took the opportunity with IndyCar with both hands, and his performances that were standout got rewarded with a move to Andretti.
Yes. Yeah. Then Scott McLaughlin, the other one that scored a podium, obviously at Texas for his first over. It was his first oval race, because the second one was better for his first oval race, getting the podium there. And then, kind of under the radar all season, really. He said he was at one of the strongest team in the series in Penske, but still, he had a very good rookie season. Obviously, getting Rookie of the Year. He was the only full-time rookie, but he put in some very solid results. Indy 500. He looked good on the ovals, which is an area you probably wouldn't have pegged him as he hasn't raced ovals before. So, if he can put everything together for 2022, he's looking very solid as well. If he just builds on that, he could be like Romain Grosjean, a win you wouldn't really put out of the equation for Scott McLaughlin in 2022.
I think the comparisons were within Penske of him being like Rick Mears, and obviously Rick Mears is, a legend within the sport, four-time Indy 500 winner himself, and obviously championship winner within the series too. And Scott wasn't without mishap. I think some was self-inflicted and others were kind of inflicted by said teammate in real power. Nashville comes to mind. I think he maybe took him out once or twice within that race. But yeah.
To be fair, Nashville, you just put to a side.
Nashville with its own special box. It had all the jazzy rapping on the top of this.
Even the
parcel.
winner was sending it over people.
That is very true, yes. So, being spun by your teammate wasn't necessarily a deterring factor in that race, because you could fly over the back of someone's rear wing and still come first in that race somehow. But yeah, Scott McLaughlin, that overall performance, he just seemed to relax in it. He didn't think, he just kind of zoned in and he just drove. And yeah, that, making it the first ever Kiwi 1-2 within IndyCar, with Scott Dixon winning that first race at Texas. And he wasn't far behind him at all. He certainly was a respectable keeping pace in second place. But yeah, you feel like he's had that proper first season grounding. It's going to be fascinating to see how he kicks on. But obviously, we'll come on to that later on in the video. But yes, 2021 was a strong start for Scott McLaughlin, although maybe necessarily the stats won't back it up. It's more your kind of how you watched him drive told you that he had a pretty good start to his time in Indy.
Yeah. And then finally, Jimmie Johnson, unlike the other two, there isn't really any podiums or anything like that to show for it. It's fair to say Jimmie did struggle with the transition to single-seaters. There were a few spins, a few loose moments, but 2022, obviously Jimmie, he did show signs of improvement. He did close the gaps in terms of qualifying pace and in terms of race pace. But obviously, Jimmie coming from NASCAR, where he was strongest on the ovals, looking towards 2022, Jimmie racing a full-time calendar on those ovals, including one particular oval, the Indy 500. Is that going to be the place that Jimmie shines? Who knows? Who knows?
Could well be. And I think that was the biggest shot. Obviously, coming in at 46 years old, he's not the spring chicken he once was. The prime years of Jimmie Johnson were definitely raced within NASCAR. And coming in within IndyCar, it was very unlikely Jimmie was coming to compete with the top of the grid consistently over the championship. But odd performances and stand out and just enjoying and just kind of showing what he's still got were definitely possible. I don't think anyone was ever pegging Jimmie Johnson to come into IndyCar and win a said championship. But what they were surprised about was he didn't do that. What his strengths were, where the majority of his wins came from in NASCAR, was on those ovals. But he seems to have got over, not the fear, but I think he feels more confident within the car, and the testing made him feel a lot more comfortable. He was happy within that, within the single-seater. That's obviously led on to 2022, him running full-time. And yeah, I think certainly we'll see a better, more improved Jimmie than we did there. But to round off, we'll look at their stats. So we'll start with Jimmie Johnson, go from there. So he had his highest finishing position was 17th in the season, which obviously doesn't kind of scream, wow, what a season. But he did achieve that twice in the last two races of the season at Long Beach and Laguna Seca. And obviously at Laguna Seca, he was doing a great hold-up job for his mate Alex Palou in the championship by keeping Romain Grosjean behind before Romain Grosjean decided to use the barge out the way tactic, which obviously is great for the highlight wheels and looks great in slow motion. He finished within the top 20, I think is a best gauge for Jimmie Johnson. 4 times and was 20th in a fifth occasion as well. So that, I guess you're going to count that in the top 20. Look, it's nothing to really scream home about, but I think it showed that improvement towards the end of the season. That was your biggest in there, and that the representation and the performances in those last two races were the big ones.
Closing the gap.
Absolutely. Romain Grosjean, because Scott McLaughlin was technically the Rookie of the Year, but he was the only full-time driver out of those, as Romain Grosjean decided he would not initially run the ovals, so he missed out on Texas and the Indy 500. Then Indy 500 is obviously double points, so a big one to miss out on, but he did run Gateway later in the season. But obviously, yeah, he missed 3 races in total because of that Texas doubleheader. So he achieved obviously highest place finish second, which he achieved twice in the season, as he did it at Indianapolis GP twice, and he got a podium at Laguna Seca at the end of the season where he barged past Jimmie Johnson, was herring down to chase down Alex Palou, but didn't quite get it. On top of those 3 top 10 finishes, he finished in the top 10 another 3 times, because he was 10th in his first race out at Barber Motorsports Park, and only finished, 33 points would have taken him on the same total as Scott McLaughlin. So only 33 points behind Scott McLaughlin. Pretty impressive, has to be said, from Romain Grosjean. But Scott McLaughlin, like we said, the only full-time season, Stephen talked about that first podium at the Texas Motor Speedway, and that was, of course, his best result in the season. And he had another 4 top 10 finishes to go alongside that. So 5 top 10s within the season. And then, the rest of the finishes were pretty inconsistent with 14th, 11th, 20th, 14th again, 12th. He was up and down the kind of leaderboards, and 12th. But I suppose a probably fairly solid end to the season with a 4th, 9th, 12th and 11th place, which took him to 305 points and that Rookie of the Year title. So those were the stats for the guys. And look, none of them had, I suppose if you're going to say someone had a standout year, it was Grosjean in terms of results.
Yes, obviously double podium and a pole position. So just missing that one win.
And that's what earned him the Andretti Autosport. And although Scott McLaughlin was officially the Rookie of the Year, you have to kind of feel the people's champion of it was Romain Grosjean. The people's champion. Yeah.
Oh, Scott.
I like Scott. Scott's a great guy. And I think he's brilliant. And his Scott Learns America series is brilliant. He's embraced America. He's embraced the fans. Yeah, digging that hole. But, Romain Grosjean ignited the fans in the in the kind of grandstands with his performances on track.
Yeah.
They weren't just good performances like under the radar. They were exciting, bold moves. What you really want to see from a driver. He was the type of driver who was getting you off the edge of your seat.
Yes.
Where Scott McLaughlin's second place was much more a kind of conserved, well-run race, good strategy, that he worked his way into a very good position.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So, okay, looking ahead to 2022, they're all running full time. What is the most, out of the 3, the most exciting aspect? Is it Romain Grosjean being in one of the traditional top 3 teams? Is it Scott McLaughlin just having that year under his belt and you feel like he could kick on and push there? Or is it Jimmy running ovals? Because it's interesting to see how he will do in that environment in a single-seater.
It's got to be Romain Grosjean. He's kind of in F1. Okay, F1 he wasn't always there, but wasn't it? What season was it with Lotus?
His second season with Lotus, he had multiple podium positions.
Yes. He had
a very good season in 2013, I believe, was his best season within Formula One.
Yeah. My kind of point is he did show, he had quality in F1. He's shown last year in IndyCar, he has quality. I can quite easily see him putting in a title bid if everything comes together. He's shown he can do it on Gateway, on an oval. I know it's a short oval, but
he still had to learn the strategy, didn't he? Because the tyre wear thing, he had made some brilliant moves in a stint, but then when he came into pit off there, he struggled and obviously fell back to, I think, about 14th in the end. I think he finished, but he was certainly not afraid to make moves on track.
Exactly. I think if everything comes together, he can actually genuinely put on a title bid, whereas I can't see that of the other 2. So I think that is the most exciting prospect, to add him into the pot of title contenders that's overflowing right now in IndyCar.
Yeah, I think you're going to have what I would say probably most exciting, obviously, on the live stream on Wednesday. Thank you for everyone who kind of jumped in on that. We'll be looking to do a live stream every week from there. But seeing that Scott McLaughlin now has Simon Pagenaud's engineer, he's moved over to his side of the garage, obviously, because the Penske outfit has downsized, with Pagenaud leaving for Meyershank Racing and them going down to a 3-car team and some being manoeuvred to the LMDH program. with Penske Porsche in the kind of endurance racing scene within IMSA. So, look, obviously Simon Pagenaud was very good at the Indy 500. And you have to say his engineer played a part in that, in terms of that. Scott McLaughlin did well on the ovals and was the best qualifier at the Indy 500. So overall, I think you're right. Grosjean could there, and he didn't really feature in our 2022 predictions video last one because he's such a wild card. We don't know what we're going to get. There's still so much in the air. But if you were going for kind of an outside shot, Romain Grosjean genuinely could piece it all together.
Yeah, I think if everything comes together, there's lots of ifs. You know, does he gel with Andretti? Does Andretti have the right philosophy this season to get it right on street, road and ovals altogether? Yeah. Can Romain Grosjean perform on different ovals?
Yeah.
There's lots of ifs, but if they all come together, yeah.
But yeah, for a kind of a single event, Scott McLaughlin at the Indy 500 excites me because he loved it. He loved that experience, and you kind of got to feel that Chevy are going to bounce back because 2 years in a row they've kind of, lost out on advantage to Honda. Honda have looked like the best package overall in qualifying and in the race for the majority of their cars in the Indy 500. So you've got to feel Chevy bounce back. And if Chevy bounce back, then the team best placed to do that is Team Penske because they've won the most Indy 500s. So if you're going to back anyone, you're probably going to back them. You know, Ed Carpenter have qualified very well, and as a team, they run well at the 500s. But for resources in the team there, it's got to be there. And I think, you know what, Scott McLaughlin probably is the best suited on the back of Joseph Newgarden and Will Power's performances to perform the best there. I think it'd be pretty exciting. He only got one qualifying run, remember. So he could have even potentially been in the top 9 because of how Pagenaud and Power struggled to qualify.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to. He was sacrificed having another run for the others to try and not be in bump day. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for Will Power on that front. But I suppose a note to Jimmy as well. Exciting. I'm excited to see how he does on the ovals. I am excited to see that.
Obviously, it's completely different to NASCAR, even though dominator's the wrong word, but he performed very well in ovals in NASCAR, obviously being a 7-time series champion. But it's, even though it's the same ovals, well, same track type, it's obviously not the same kind of racing. Obviously, NASCAR's a lot more pack racing, isn't it? Is that the correct term? Sorry, NASCAR novice here.
NASCAR noob.
So yeah, he still needs to have full confidence there because it's all about confidence. But yeah, maybe he could be a shining star at the 500.
Well, obviously, Helio Castro-Neves, and we spoke about it, didn't we, in the predictions video, that 5 of the last Indy 500 winners, the average age has got to be around about 38, 39. Yeah. It'd be interesting to kind of work out. If I can work it out, I might put it up on the screen now for doing there. Look, if Jimmy's going to go all out for one race, it's there. And it was interesting when talking to Mario, he basically said, the best thing about the Indy 500 is you get so much time to prepare. There is so much practice within it. So if you're not ready for the 500, it's really your own fault.
I mean, you're there for a month.
Yeah, exactly. You're literally there for the month of May. And, well, you get the testing, I think, in April as well, to be fair, if you want it. So this is probably going to be to see the best Jimmy will do, I would say, is this year. And it's going to be fascinating to see how that happens. But yeah, I would say the excitement probably leans more towards the McLaughlin Grosjeans just because they have a longer shelf life within the series. I was trying to be polite.
Let's move on.
We're moving on. Okay. What constitutes a successful season for each? Because it's different for each driver. Because Scott McLaughlin, I don't think anyone realistically expects him to be going for a championship bid when it's Joseph Newgarden's team, essentially. And Newgarden has still been incredibly strong in the past 5 years. He doesn't look like he's letting up the gas anytime soon on that front. So what would be a successful season for Scott McLaughlin?
It's so difficult. Obviously, I think he grab another podium. Obviously, at least repeat last year's achievement. Grab at least one podium, if not, a couple or a few. I feel like top 10's a big ask. And I feel like he can still... Definitely needs to come top 15. Maybe top 10 isn't a big ask. Maybe top 10 is what Scott should be aiming for success. It's so competitive.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily in the standings is going to be so difficult because I think the points are going to be really, really tight. And one race or another can really swing it either way. I would be for consistency of performance to kind of show growth. So at least one podium. And I would say he's got to double his top 10s. Yeah. So he got 5 last year. I think he's got to get 10 in this year at the very minimum.
Yep.
To constitute anything above of that, then you can start kind of really starting to maybe label it as a great season for Scott McLaughlin. Considering, the guy has never driven single seaters competitively before, like Jimmie Johnson. So it is quite a big transfer. Like for Romain Grosjean, it was a much easier kind of transition than it was for the other two.
Yeah.
But for Scott McLaughlin, I would say at least double his top 10 finishes and the podium, like you said.
For Romain Grosjean, I feel like a win. If he gets a win, he's in a top team. He came close last year. I think he has to, obviously it's always about improvement, and the improvement for Romain isn't a couple more podiums, although that would be nice. It's to actually take the checkered flag. It doesn't have to be more than one race. It's going to be so competitive next year. Get a win. And just have good showings on the ovals.
I think Grosjean's a seasoned pro now. So his standards have got to be set high in terms of that and what we have to expect from him to constitute a good season. I think internally, a good season is beating Rossi. A great season is beating Rossi and Herta.
Oh, whoa!
That's a great... That what I would constitute as a great season. I don't think he can have a great season without beating Herta.
Rossi. Well, Herta, yeah. Great season.
A good season.
It's a good season, Rossi.
Just
a great season,
Herta. And that's not to knock Rossi. Rossi's just struggled the last couple, so he'll be looking to find his feet. His confidence, I don't know.
You set the bar high here.
I have set the bar high because I think I think he needs at least a race win.
Yeah.
Because, he was challenging for race wins within Dale Coyne machinery. And with all due respect to Dale Coyne, it's the odd race win.
Yeah.
Sebastian Bourdais, a very experienced single-seater driver within IndyCar, was the last winner for the team. And, I think, what was that, back in 2017, maybe 2018, I think he won St. Pete as well. I forget off the top of my head. But I think he's got to get at least a win. And he's got to hit the ground running.
Pinning him up against teammates and you're saying Rossi should be his goal.
Yeah.
And if it's all flying in the right direction, then go for it.
I think, look, Carl Kirkwood didn't get the seat because of Romain Grosjean, because of experience. So and technically with Colton, I know the plan was Colton to go to F1 and Carl Kirkwood to go there. But, initially, I don't think the advancement of that Formula One, I think that happened quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then obviously ended quite quickly as well. When they signed Romain Grosjean or were in the process of doing it, I think it was going, we will just not find a place for Carl.
Yeah.
I think Grosjean's too good to miss out. So I think to back that up, he has to perform like a guy of his experience in single-seaters and off the back of a season needs to. So I think the standard has to be high for Grosjean for it to be successful compared to the other two.
There we go. And finally, Jimmie Johnson. Always a tough one. I think we got to put the road and street courses aside because you can't really set any kind of targets there, and you can't pin him against his teammates because that's unfair because the quality there. So I'm just going to focus on the ovals. So next year we've got 5, or is it just 4 ovals?
We got Texas, doubleheader at Iowa, Indy 500 Gateway. So we've got 5.
Yeah, it's only one at Texas, isn't it? Yeah, 5. I want, okay, I know it's first time single seat on ovals, but I'm saying a successful season there is like 2 top 10s in the out of the 5. Okay,
so 2 top 10s. I was going to say 1 top 10. I think constitutes a good season.
It is a great season.
Yeah,
3 top 10s or 2 top 10s?
A great season would be okay. Let's go 3 top 10s or a top 10 and a top 5. Take your pick. Take your tier system. What's
there you go, Jimmy. It's up to you now. You can choose.
What was popular? Those tier maker lists.
Yes.
And just like great season, good season, bad season, or okay season, bad season, awful season. We'll have to give the results that constitute that. No, I go for now. Okay, so we'll round off the video in terms of looking ahead to these guys in their sophomore year. With who do you think will finish best out of the Indy 500? Obviously, Scott has the advantage that he's driven there before. But yeah.
I'm gonna go for Scott.
I can't see past Scott McLaughlin because of how well he did transition to those ovals. It'd be interesting to see how Romain gets on at Texas as well, because that's obviously his first super speedway, so he'll get used to the sort of speeds that are going at Indianapolis. But I believe that the PJ1 has been resprayed, but there's like a resin over the top. So I can't necessarily say that it's going to provide plenty of opportunities.
It's only one race there though this year.
It is, but it's a setup race, and it's you probably want to get confident at overtaking in those high speed corners, and it's probably not going to provide you that opportunity. And Jimmy is a flip of the coin. He could really just nail it, and we've seen it in Indy. You just have to have things go your way and just nail a great race, and you can be up there.
Yeah.
But I think Scott McLaughlin is the safe.
You can't look past him.
No, from there.
But yeah.
But I think that rounds off this video, and that's about it. We hope you've enjoyed looking. We thought it was like an interesting one to look at them because they've all gone through such different journeys and all got kind of almost different goals on it. We'll later, obviously, as we approach the season, we're just over a month away. We'll do a Meet the Rookies, and we'll do a kind of more in-depth look at all the rookies coming into IndyCar this season, remembering Devlin De Francesco this time. Yikes. So that's at least 5 as it currently stands. But yeah, let us know how you think Scott McLaughlin, Jimmie Johnson and Romain Grosjean will get on in their sophomore years. What constitutes good or great seasons for you, and who's going to finish the best at this year's 106th running of the Indy 500. But if they're new around here and they like what we do, I keep saying what they do. What can they do?
They can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it! So for now, you Indy fans, keep